On the field. Off the field. Sports talk. Entertainment and more. This is Sauce on the Side.
Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 68 of the Sauce on the Side podcast. As always, Dippers, I'm your host, joined by the man, the producer, Leighton Pip Shaventone.
Hey, Brennan. I know you won the podcast last week, but did you hear that's like from the World Series?
Yeah. I think I read an article about that.
Okay, making sure you knew.
And we're going to continue to hear about that until this time next season. And our guest host, Leighton already tipped him off, B. Reich, the hot take detective, Riker.
So I joined a rec league basketball league here in Nashville, and I have a question for you too. In a rec league game with 20-minute continuous halves, like they don't even stop the clock for free throws, what do you think an insane amount of points would be for the two teams to combine for?
360.
Oh, okay.
I think I was 200.
225. My team lost 125 to 100. We're just mimicking the NBA, boys.
Wow. You guys watch too many Rocket games, I think.
Too many Laker games.
We shot a lot of threes, and we did not rebound.
That's how it sounds.
That's crazy. That might be the craziest sports stat we've ever dropped here, and it was in B. Reich's Rec League. That's actually really impressive. As always, Dippers, be sure to listen on Spotify and iTunes. Be sure to download, subscribe, give us that 5-star review. Check us out on thefsgn.com, where you can find our podcast and other podcasts as well. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, at The Saucy Pod. And we've also been coming out with a new thing. It's to give some more betting advice here and there. It's just kind of a fun thing to do. It was actually Mr. Shackelford's idea. It's called The Cash-In Couch, where you can actually watch him break down the fights, usually just a couple 2-3 minute breakdown instead of his actual cheat sheet, where you can hear who's going to win, why they're going to win, and he knocked it out of the park last week, only missed one fight. So Mr. Shackelford is back on his game. Guys, we have an awesome interview this week. In case you guys are kind of new to the show, one of my guilty pleasures is Purdue sports. And actually, we have a former quarterback from Purdue, Joey Elliott. He is now the pro scout for the Indianapolis Colts. He comes in, tells us what life as a scout is like, and also what it was like to play in the Big Ten, be a starting quarterback for a major university. Awesome interview. As always, we will have a recap of Week 9. We will also have our word association for the NFL. Talk a little bit about the NCAA and how Bama absolutely housed LSU. And if we can put a bow on this college football season. Talk a little bit about the NBA and the struggles for the Lakers up to this point. And, as always, our saucy 6-pack of games for Week 10. So, guys, we'll start it off hot. Best game we might have had this season. Saints outlast the Rams 45-35. And guys, that could have potentially been our NFC Championship preview. Does this make the Saints the clear-cut favorite in the NFC?
No, I don't think so. 'Cause I think the Rams are still a better team. But this game was played in the Dome. I think that's actually why the Saints won the game. Look at the box score. The Rams had 483 yards. Saints had 487 yards. Each team had one turnover. The difference in the game was the game flow. The Rams were the top rushing team in the NFL, and the Saints were able to run the ball 15 more times than them. And the Rams still ran the ball at 6.2 yards per carry, but they couldn't do it because of game flow, and that forces Goff to take more on his shoulders. He threw an interception, and that basically the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point right there with that interception, and that really was the deciding factor in the game. I didn't realize the Saints had ran the ball that many more times than the Rams, which is kind of crazy. What they had Todd Gurley makes no sense. But I'm going to stick with Leighton and say the Rams are still my favorite. I mean, what, are there 2 undefeated seasons in the NFL? Every team loses. Every Super Bowl champion loses. This was just the Rams' time to lose. Had a lot of close games recently, but I like the Rams. But doesn't it seem like light years ago that that Tampa Bay loss with the Saints and had us questioning them?
Absolutely. But, Fitzpatrick Fitzmagic, he can do absolutely anything. And
Jesus.
honestly, that just shows the parity of the NFL, though. Because if you look at the top 3 teams, in my opinion, in the NFC, like, with chances to win the Super Bowl, like, 2 of those 3 teams, one has lost to the Buccaneers, and the other lost to the Bills. So, like, those are 2 of the bottom feeders in the NFL, and, like, the NFL parity this year has just been unreal. But as far as to say that the Saints are the clear-cut favorite, I think this does help them because it'll move them in the right direction to having the home field advantage, like Leighton said. The game's in the Dome. Drew Brees does not lose in that Dome. They always put up points. But you can look back to a couple plays that really swung the pendulum of this game. The Johnny Hecker play where they ran the fake on 4th down. I thought he had it by, a half a yard at least. And they called it a turnover on downs, which that swings the needle a huge way in favor of the Saints. We saw Greg Zuerlein actually miss a kick, which is a huge outlier.
It's baffling.
A huge outlier for sure. And there was just a lot of things that went right for the Saints. Now, that doesn't mean that if I think they played again, the Saints wouldn't win, but this game was so close, and I absolutely enjoyed every minute of it. So guys, since we're officially at the halfway point of the NFL season, we're going to go ahead and give out some awards. We like to do this with almost any professional sport, and we'll actually play a little game with this one. I think it's going to be fun. We're going to keep track on which teams, Leighton C, he'll write them down, and we're going to see at the end of the season if one of our teams that we put into our contender cart is the Super Bowl champion. So basically our contender cart is going to be just a list of teams we could see potentially winning the Super Bowl at the end of the season. The way that they get in, a 2-1 vote, just like our darts. So we'll start off first. We'll go around the room. We'll go Leighton, Brandon, and then myself, and then we'll just keep going in that circular pattern. So Leighton, what's your first team to put into the contender cart?
The New England Patriots.
Yeah, you're not going to have any pushback on that.
Not going to argue.
Patriots are in the court.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll go with the Rams. Kind of a duh.
Yeah, not any pushback from me.
Yes, Rams.
Even though they did lose this week. And I will go with the team that actually beat them, the Saints.
Yes. Redden?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. The Vikings. How much you took Kirk Cousins?
I'm going to go with the yes. They haven't had that signature win yet, but I think other than the Saints, they've looked probably the best against the Rams. So I'm going to go with the yes, and they were one of my preseason favorites.
Yeah, I think it's an absolute yes. But, Leighton, you said that how much do you trust Kirk Cousins? I don't even know if Kirk Cousins is going to be the reason this team could win a Super Bowl. I think that if this defense continues to play like they have over the last few weeks, this is a contender. I mean, anytime you have an elite defense with, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, and if that running game ever gets going, which we saw Dalvin Cook come back healthy and break off a huge run, that's just kind of a prelude to what we should be seeing in the postseason. I absolutely love the Vikings, and I think they're one of the clear-cut favorites in the NFC.
Well, then I'm going to go with the Chargers.
I love that pick.
Chargers. Yeah, I can see him winning it.
What's your issue?
I don't think they're that great of a team, honestly. Like, I feel like the defense had playing better, but the defense is still not great. And
But they played the first 7 games without Joey Bosa.
And
Yes.
if Melvin Gordon was to go down, I think it's good, but can he carry the whole load for Melvin Gordon?
Yeah, but that's a lot of what ifs. Like, now we're looking at a team that has a healthy Bosa. Melvin Gordon, they rested him basically because he was a little banged up. Rested him, got the bye week. I think Melvin Gordon's firing on all cylinders. I think that this team is one of the teams that I would almost put at the top of the pecking order in the AFC.
And obviously the team's better when they run the ball and successful with Melvin Gordon, but we saw them week 1 against the Chiefs, which they did lose that game, but they put up almost 500 passing yards or close to it. The team has a great offense, and if Joey Bosa can stay healthy, get the defense clicking, which it actually has been playing better, I like them.
Yeah, I like him too, especially whenever you look at Derwin James. Like, he's played 8 games in the NFL, and he's already playing at a Pro Bowl level, so he's only going to continue to get better. I really, really like the Chargers. I'm actually going to go with the Chiefs. I'm surprised that I got them this late. I think the Chiefs are
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Yep.
Surprising.
Honestly, I'm amazed if you all went for that one. I mean, that offense looks not very good right now, but defense is bad, offense is shaky.
I look at the Chiefs as having a pretty bad defense, but like the offense is so good, and they have so many weapons and so many ways to kill you that it covers up the holes of the defense.
And this might be recency bias, but I mean, when was the last time we saw an offense this good? Like tonight, maybe
the Broncos
obviously the Rams back in the day, but
Peyton Manning Broncos.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. Peyton Manning's Broncos.
Yeah, I would say it would be like Chiefs, Peyton Manning Broncos, and then the Patriots whenever they had
Pats.
Whenever they had Randy Moss.
Van's dying to get back to 2000 right now.
Oh yeah,
yeah, 18 years. 2000. All right, shall I pick the Texans? Super Bowl champions have week 1.
I knew you were going to say
I knew you were. Yeah, no, I tried to look up some stats against the Texans because I knew it was coming.
6 straight wins, all ugly, but a dub's a dub.
You take it first, Drake.
I don't know if I buy into the Texans legitimately at all. Like, we are looking at a 6-game win streak that is probably the ugliest 6-game win streak in the history of the NFL. Which, whenever you say a 6-game win streak, like, yes, that is good. But you look at a team, like, this hasn't happened since 1970. I think I just saw that stat before we got on here. That a team lost their first 3 games and rebounded with 6 straight wins. And you look at Brandon McManus, missed 2 field goals in that game for the Broncos. One which would have won the game as time expired. And you know, it was basically Vance McJoseph being complacent with a 51-yard field goal. Like, they drive down the field, they're about to score, and they just basically call off the dogs. There's 40 seconds left. They get one more play out of that, even though they have a timeout in their back pocket. The Broncos should have beat them. I just don't think that I think that the Texans as a whole with the defense, they're pretty solid. Like, they have really good pieces, but they're underwhelming for how much talent is there. And the cornerbacks, if you put them against, let's put them against the Chiefs. They are going to get burnt almost every single play, and it's going to be basically Deshaun Watson in a shootout. And I don't know how much I trust Deshaun Watson in a shootout because, yes, he will have those games where he has 4 or 5 touchdowns, but he has less than 300 yards in those performances. And you're looking at a guy like Lamar Miller, like, is he going to make up the difference in a big game like that? I don't think that they have obvious holes in the running game, in the secondary, and I don't know if I can put the Texans in there.
Yeah, I don't know either. Like, underwhelming was my word that I wrote underneath them. And the thing is like, if they got down, I'm never going to count the Texans out because Deshaun Watson just magically will have 2 quarters, will absolutely, play out of his mind. But there's just something about them that I just don't see being a Super Bowl contender. But you can't deny 6 straight wins. So.
No, if I said the word Bill O'Brien, is that the reason why?
No, it would be Deshaun Watson.
I think Bill O'Brien's what holds them back because you look at this roster, they are a top 10 roster whenever you look top to bottom on what kind of talent they have, but they just do not perform to that level, and I don't see them making a turnaround to where they do. Like, they just win these close games by barely, and you look at other teams that can manufacture offense late to go down there and actually get that field goal, I don't see them as a contender.
So leading them out of the cart?
We're leaving them out of the cart.
All right, well, guys, eat your words here in a few months.
B-Rock, do you have any other teams left?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers. They're always going to fool us, so let's hear it.
Yeah, put them in there.
Yeah, I definitely am. And whether Le'Veon Bell plays or not, I don't think it even matters at this point.
No, it doesn't.
Like, they're starting to figure out things in the secondary to help the team win. They finally made Joe Hayden a shadow corner, which was the best move that they've done all season, which now we don't see 30 points getting hung up on the Steelers anymore. I like them. And it would not surprise me if they were able to rattle one off and win a Super Bowl. I'm actually going to go with the Panthers.
Okay.
The Panthers are a team I have voted down. I'm iffy about them. Because Cam's a baller, but we've seen Cam ball in a bad way a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And a lot of big games, Cam kind of, just from a fantasy perspective, puts up 10, 12 points. If he does that, the team loses.
Yeah, and you look at Cam, the thing I always think about with Cam is the business decision. Whenever he said that, dude, you're talking about a Super Bowl play, which could swing the game either way, and could be the difference between, we're us looking at you like as a Hall of Fame quarterback. Your team won a Super Bowl. You guys went 15-1 in the regular season. Then you make a business decision and take your team out of it. But I think that this is a team with more weapons than Cam has ever had. We finally see DJ Moore as a good deep threat. Curtis Samuel, which is a guy I was big on last year in fantasy as a late-round player, just because he was so successful in college. He was a 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard rusher in college. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. So even if, Christian McCaffrey comes off the field, they have another human Swiss Army knife that they can log right in there. I really like the Panthers.
I do like the Panthers, but there's something about them too. It's similar to the Texans, which I think they have both. They both have talent. They both have good quarterbacks, but there's something about it, the way they've been playing. Just I don't know. Last week was very impressive though. So if I'm keeping the Texans out, I'm keeping the Panthers out though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a no, just because I don't think any what if, but I can't see him beating the Vikings, Rams, or Saints.
That's true. That's very fair. I don't
that alone
put them as an underdog below all those teams.
Yeah, if the injury to the Saints and Vikings, then your team putting them in. But what if you don't want to do that here? I'm going to leave the Panthers out.
So one thing, I was watching the Buccaneers Panthers game, and it was a great offensive performance. But I really saw Cam Newton for some reason jump and throw a 30-yard pass on a dime. Why he jumped, I don't know. He's in the pocket.
No, a lot of stuff
the stuff that guy does, and it's just amazing with that talent. But yeah. I'm still going to keep him out, though. I just I think Leighton put it best. I don't see them beating those top three teams.
So the Panthers are out then?
Yes.
Panthers are out.
Leighton, do you have any more?
My last team is the Eagles. Also iffy on them.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
Eagles.
4-4 right now. Defense
4-4.
Defense has done good. Past couple games. Carson Wentz is back balling.
They really should have won a lot of those games that they've lost, but I don't see them doing it. I think they're having a major hangover, and I don't see them remedying it.
Yeah, and B-Reich, you actually hit it on the head whenever you said a lot of the games that they have lost, they could have won. A lot of those games that they won, they easily could have lost. They have been the team of the one-possession games. And I'll be the first one to say it. Last year, if Carson Wentz was healthy, that team does not win a Super Bowl. The way that Nick Foles played in that one specific game in the Super Bowl, nobody else could have recounted that performance. I'm not saying Nick Foles is a good quarterback, but he was the best guy for that one day, that one given time. He was the only guy that could get that done. And I don't think Carson Wentz could do that. And last year, I really didn't buy into him. And this year, I'm kind of in the same boat. I see this team ending the season probably 8-8, maybe 9-7, and potentially being left out of the postseason. So if I can see them probably being left out, which I think they will get left out, I'm going to have to go with a no.
I mean, Nick Foles does have bigger man parts, so he can get the job done. So we're going to go with a no on that. And then, did anybody think the Falcons at all? Because I'm not, but I figured somebody would say it.
I looked down for a second, but I can't see them getting in.
They were the only team they were the team that was right on the cusp that I was like, man, I really want to put them on there just because they're rolling so good. But they were basically my last team out.
I love how none of us have the Redskins at all, and they're leading the division right now.
No. That team is the biggest anomaly. If they play any good team, they're losing. They're absolutely going to lose. They're playing the Falcons. They're obviously getting dismantled like they just did. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. Leighton, do you have any other, or B-Rock, do you have any other teams?
Nope.
I actually have one.
Oh, Gore.
And it is the only team that is the top 5 in offense and top 5 in defense, boys. And this is none other than the Chicago Bears football team. Out of teams that are in the top 10 in both offense and defense, there's only one other team, and that is the LA Rams. And the Rams are only 10th in defense. So the Bears, as far as both sides of the ball, are heads and shoulders as far as a whole team aspect. Now, this team, if they have to rely on Mitch Trubisky to get the job done, if they have to rely on Tariq Cohen to get the job done, if they have to rely on Khalil Mack even to just get the job done, they are going to lose games where they rely on one player. But whenever I look at a team that is a whole team, I think they're a top 5 team in the NFL if you look at the whole picture of both offense and defense. You know, whenever you talk about the NBA and you talk about two-way players, like Kawhi Leonard, he's pretty underwhelming, but he's in the top 5 of everybody's category just because he is so good defensively. And whenever you look at the Bears, like, I don't know how you can't make them a top 5 team because they're in top 5 of both offense and defense. And if you look at the Bears' losses, I can tell you 4 plays go right for the Bears, and they are an undefeated football team. You have Kyle Fuller dropping a ball on the last second drive that Aaron Rodgers came in and put the dagger in our heart. And it wasn't one of those interceptions like, oh, yeah, he could have made the play. 98% of NFL players are going to make that play. Ball hits him right in the chest. Cody Parkey misses a field goal in overtime. And Jordan Howard even fumbled the ball at the 1 in that game. And then you have 2 special teams touchdowns against the Patriots, and then you still only lose by 1 yard. I've been very, very cautious on jumping onto this Bears bandwagon, but the way that they're actually able to put bad teams away now, I think that they have to be in this category.
You're right. They can't put bad teams away. In fact, they've only beaten bad teams. They've beaten the Bills, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Buccaneers, and the Seahawks. Seahawks are an okay team.
Seahawks are pretty good.
Okay, but out of those games, you guys have beaten the Bills, Jets, Buccaneers, and Cardinals. You're going to put 6 points against the Cardinals. You've lost to the Dolphins, Patriots, and Packers. So you guys are basically me like the Washington Redskins against the better defense. You're going to beat bad teams, but you're going to lose to good teams.
They're better than Washington Redskins.
They are,
I get
but
what you're saying.
Same kind of thing. You will beat bad teams, but you will lose games to good teams. Because like you said, the plays that need to be made, you haven't made them. And the best teams make those plays every time.
And like we talked about, the parity in the NFL is so great. I mean, the 49ers should have beat the Packers a couple weeks ago. And the 49ers aren't a good team. But to your credit, the Bears are much better than I thought they'd be. I thought they're a lot farther along than I thought they'd be at this time. So
I agree.
Mitch can keep on elevating his game, maybe in a couple years.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question. Are you guys willing to leave the team with the top 4 offense and top 5 defense out of your contenders?
Yes.
Yes, because yes.
Okay. We will leave them out of the contender card. Whenever we get a Texans Bears Super Bowl, we're going to be completely wrong.
That'd be an ugly-ass game.
That would be a fun game, though.
So shall I recap the card?
Yes, recap the contender card.
Okay, hopefully we get some coupons, get some pretty expensive teams in here. We got the Patriots, the Rams, the Saints, the Vikings, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Steelers. The Chargers are the only team that are not unanimous. They were 2-1. We left out the Texans, Panthers, Eagles, and Bears.
All right.
Oh my.
So we'll go ahead and give out our halfway point awards. So we have NFL MVP. Guys, who do you like?
It's got to be Mahomes, right? He's 29 touchdowns, 1,200 yards, 7 picks. He throws touchdowns when they're behind, when they're ahead on the road at home. He throws touchdowns. A quarterback, best team in football.
Do you call him the best team in football?
One of the best teams in football.
Oh, okay.
I just said one of.
That's
one
a
of the
bold
best
move. So who do I think's going to win it? And especially at this point, it'll be Patrick Mahomes, just with the quarterback play. People love the quarterback, love giving him the MVP. But I really think it should be Todd Gurley. I mean, he's first in rushing yards. He's almost averaging 100 yards a game. He's on pace for 2,400 yards and 28 touchdowns. That's the second highest touchdown total and the third most total yards in NFL history by a running back. I mean, yes, the Chiefs' offense is amazing, but Todd Gurley is going to possibly put up a top 2, top 3 season of any running back of all time, and that should be the MVP in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. I'm going all in on Todd Gurley here, but I don't think he's going to win it. I think that this guy could have the best running back season in NFL history, but they're still just going to give the award to a quarterback on a really good team. I mean, we're looking at Todd Gurley. He plays for an 8-1 football team, and he is the focal point of the team. We saw it whenever Todd Gurley didn't get his legs going yesterday. What happens? The Rams lose that game, and that's going to happen almost every single time if they don't run the offense through Todd Gurley. B-Rock, you hit it on the head with the stats. I mean, this guy is going to be flirting with 30 touchdowns at the end of the season. That is a historic pace for an NFL running back. I think it should be Todd Gurley, 100 yards of space, and then number 2. But it won't be decided that way. It's going to go to a quarterback on a team that has a bye week in the opening round of the playoffs.
Yeah, so basically Patrick Mahomes is going to have to struggle down the second half. And Drew Brees, honestly, because he's probably next up. So
Patrick Mahomes will struggle in the second half. He's an Andy Reid coached guy, so we're going to see the fall apart at any time.
Do I think Drew Brees throws 76% for the season? Because where's that right now?
He's at 76?
Yeah.
5% higher than the record.
I don't see him falling much lower than that, honestly. I mean, I don't think maybe the 76, but that offense with that running game, it's just... And Drew Brees, he's hitting those like Manning years where it's just so easy for him. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to be much lower.
Yeah, I think that he's going to break the NFL record. He could even crush it. And, you know, a lot of those times that guys, like we saw Sam Bradford a few years back where he was just a monster of completion percentage, but it was all to running backs. Like, he was throwing like 30% of his balls to running backs. Like, yes, he does use Alvin Kamara a little bit, but you look at whenever he's throwing it to Michael Thomas has the highest catch percent on the whole team, and he's out wide half the time.
That's
so
right.
I just... The way that Drew Brees is doing it is like nothing we've seen before, because it's not like it's a ton of screens and all this stuff. He's forcing the ball downfield. Like we saw him throw a 70-yard dagger just to put the icing on the cake against the Rams. So I think he's going to crush the record. If he does, and the Saints end up going like 15-1 or 14-2, I would not be upset if he didn't get his first MVP award. Or if he did get his first MVP award. Because if you complete 76% of your passes in the NFL, you deserve it.
That is outstanding. Obviously.
All right, guys. So, NFL Coach of the Year.
Jack, you like this one, but we went with Matt Nagy. He had the Bears in first place, top 5 in defense, top 5 in offense. And he made Mr. Trubisky an actual usable quarterback. Mitch can't throw for shit from the pocket. I think you agree with that even. But he makes it work. He makes Trubisky run, using what he's best at. And the Bears team looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's only a handful you can even give this award to. But I'm going to go with Andy Reid for the same reasons. I mean, this is basically Patrick Mahomes' rookie season, just because he didn't get any reps last year. And he was the guy that we weren't really for sure on. We thought he was going to throw a lot of picks. We didn't think he was going to be as consistent week to week as he's been. This offense is rolling. We've talked about him in length on this podcast. And, I mean, who doesn't love Andy Reid? If Andy Reid can put a season together, I would love for him to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, actually, speaking of Andy Reid, just a little tidbit for you guys that are listening. Joey Elliott actually played under Andy Reid whenever he was with the Eagles. So he talks about Andy Reid, and he talks about how awesome of a guy he is and how it's almost overlooked how good of, like, a player's coach the guy is, just on top of the X's and O's. But my NFL Coach of the Year, I'm going to have to go with Matt Nagy. He's 5-3 right now, and you look at this team, they won 8 games over the last 2 seasons, and he's only 3 away from that. And this is his first year, and he already has this offense rolling. He has him as the number 4 offense. They were 29th last year with a lot of the same pieces. And if you look at guys who can really make things work with like a 160-pound running back, like Tariq Cohen, he is doing everything possible to make that guy succeed. Like, Tariq Cohen's a phenomenal player, but, size does take into consideration there. But I'm all over Matt Nagy winning Coach of the Year this year.
Drake, are you a Bears fan?
I am a Bears fan, but I didn't give Khalil Mack my defensive MVP or anything like that. So.
Oh, okay, nice. All right.
I just really think Nagy deserves it. And the NFL likes to do we have the shiny new toy with Sean McVay last year. And I look at Matt Nagy in a lot of the same ways that I look at Sean McVay with the X's and O's on offense and that big-time turnaround, especially in an NFL that's driven by the offense. I think Matt Nagy's going to pull the award off, and I think he should. And at this point, I really think that he deserves it. So let's go Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think this is going to be pretty easy, but where are you going?
Saquon Barkley. He had 1,016 total yards. He had 497 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and 0 fumbles. No fumbles. This is really poor part of football. Not turning the ball over.
It is. It's obviously Saquon Barkley. I mean, I don't really see how you argue that, but I was looking at some basically some articles to just see what other writers thought, and I got up on this betting website, and Sam Darnold actually doesn't have much worse odds because, I mean, clearly Sam Darnold has not been playing very well, and Saquon is one of the top backs in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I don't care how bad the Giants' record is, because if any team's really relying on a rookie to get the job done to win for them, like, that doesn't factor into a Rookie of the Year at all, in my opinion. But, guys, Saquon Barkley, if he does the same exact stats that he has at the beginning of the season and has them through the remainder of the year, he is going to finish 6 yards shy of 1,000 season, which we look at like the pinnacle for the new age NFL running backs. Like, we have not seen that since Marshall Faulk. So, like, that is so rare, and for Saquon to do it as a rookie, and if he even gets close to that, he has to be your Rookie of the Year. And like Leighton said, he's not contributing to the Giants' losses. He has 0 fumbles. I just think that this is the most obvious thing that you can give out to a guy at this point of the season.
He's actually leading all rookies in receiving yards.
That's impressive.
That is very
better than Calvin Ridley, better than all the rest. He is leading them in receiving yards.
Wow.
He's
and it's not even just because this is like, you could say, oh, this is a bad receiving class, because like you have guys who are producing, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, and he's outperforming them at their own specialty. And a rookie to have 1,000 receiving yards, even at wide receiver, is a big, big rarity. So I think Saquon is heads and shoulders against everybody else. So guys, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I kind of have a guy that you wouldn't have guessed at the beginning of the season. Where are you guys going?
Mine's Bradley Chubb. He has 8 sacks through 9 games, on pace for 14 sacks. That would tie Aldon Smith for the second most sacks in rookie season. Only half a sack behind the leader, Javon Kuss. So you could easily get 14.5 sacks, but you can use 2 in a game, or 2 or 3 in a game this season.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I'm just going to go with Darius Leonard. He's the tackle leader right now, so we're going to go with Darius Leonard.
Calling that one Ninja.
Yeah.
A little hard for that one.
Yeah, no, Darius Leonard, I think, is heads and shoulders against everybody else. I mean, he's a linebacker. He has 4 sacks already. Played at South Carolina State, the big-time powerhouse, South Carolina State. And for the Colts defense, which was just, like, absolutely atrocious last year, like, this is what this team needed. Yes. This guy's on pace to have the 3rd most tackles in an NFL season, period. Not just rookies. He is on pace for 201 sacks. Like, we look at 100 as like a benchmark for a Pro Bowler. This guy's going to double that. So I'm all in on Darius Leonard right now. He's had multiple games with 10-plus tackles. Like, he has just been a freaking tackle machine.
So, Jake, do you think the guy from the no-name college win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I absolutely think he should. For some reason, we have a lot of good defensive players from no-name schools.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thought. Also, a very, very observant thought. Game observant thoughts for us?
Yes, actually I do.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine.
After the Adam Thielen streak was broken, there are now only 3 guarantees in life. Death, taxes, and Nathan Peterman throwing pick sixes. Ty Montgomery. Learn Packers fans are the nicest group of people in the NFL, and the Packers owners take care of their own. A born wide receiver, plays all last season as a running back, plays all last season injured, fumbles 1 ball trying to make a play, gets sentenced to Flacco prison. Speaking of trades, J.R. Smith, learning that basketball without LeBron isn't that easy. Rajon Rondo, learning that life with LeBron isn't that easy. Derrick Rose, what a memorable night. Dropped 50 points on Utah in honor of how many games he's played since his MVP season. Rick Pitino wants a coaching job in the NFL. Rick Pitino's job resume reads 30-plus years of coaching experience with players who are being paid, and his strongest ability is negotiating fair contracts for players. Ryan Lindley, NFL career backup quarterback, named Browns running back coach. Did we expect anything else? Dana Holgerson, best skullet in sports. Le'Veon Bell, you showed them. Derek Lewis, no Popeyes for you. Matt Stafford, still 7 wins versus teams with a winning record. And there's a new book out this week. It's titled How to Lose $8 Million and Never Prove Your Point. And it was written by Le'Veon Bell. And those have been my thoughts.
Those are all very observant.
Very poor Le'Veon Bell. That was they called his bluff and definitely came back to bite him.
It did work out for him.
That's like the worst gamble in sports right there. Like, as far as guys who've lost money basically just betting on themselves, this is probably the worst example I've probably ever seen of this. So, guys, we'll do a little NFL word association for the Week 9 season. Like we always do. Guys, who was your biggest winner?
The 1972 Miami Dolphins. Poppy Champagne.
Well, I like that.
The Rams lost, but like...
Wait. Oh, okay. Lord, that one way over the head.
That went way over that bald head.
Julio Jones. He scored a touchdown.
Yes, he did. Dude, I rarely root for penalties to happen in a play, but I was hoping that the guy actually pulled him down by his face mask just to leave him a yard short. Biggest winner, I'm going with Terrell Pryor. He may get some snaps at quarterback. Biggest loser.
Not Andy Reid.
Good. Every aspect of the offensive from the Miami Dolphins-Jets game, just freaking awful. Just awful. The only touchdown was defensive.
Yeah, I loved that game because I think there was 2 highlights on Red Zone all day. Biggest loser, Nathan Peterman. 2 more pick sixes. Surprise.
A bunch of players want to play for the Raiders.
That was good.
Thielen didn't get 100 yards.
Drew Brees, still a top 3 quarterback. Biggest disappointment.
Tom Brady's post-game outfit. Black crew neck and black sock hat. Come on, Giselle. You're better than this.
I actually saw that, and it made me like Tom Brady more. I am like the biggest Tom Brady hater of all time, and I was like, man, I really hating this guy.
Okay. My biggest disappointment was the Raiders. They let a terrible 49ers D sack Derek Carr 8 times, and they let Nick Mullins, who was not even verified on Twitter before the game, look like a stud.
I'm going with the Packers. I mean, Rodgers is on pace for 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and the Packers are below 500. Impact injury.
Didn't happen this week, but AJ Green, his toe swelled up over the week, and he was missed several games.
I'm not even acting like I know their names, but both the Redskins starting offensive guards are going for MRIs. So, I mean, that can't be good.
No, that's never good. That's like the worst thing that could happen to Adrian Peterson fantasy owners ever.
Oh, yes.
I'm going AJ Green. I mean, even on the bye week, if he has to miss substantial time, that is absolutely a terrible sign for the Bengals. Biggest WTF moment.
Rodgers did not spell relax for us last night. The fact the season must really be over.
Did you guys see Stafford's pitch to Kerryon Johnson?
Yeah, that looked like Matthew Stafford playing a team with a winning record.
WTF.
That was awesome. Nathan Peterman becomes the first player in NFL history to throw the ball 49 times, have 189 or less yards, no touchdowns, and 3 picks in a single game since 1950. Biggest overreaction.
The Patriots are better without Rob Gronkowski.
I'm pretty sure that Nathan Peterman was the 3rd best quarterback on the offensive side of the ball for the Bills. They have Logan Thomas starting at tight end and Terrell Pryor at wide receiver.
I would absolutely agree with that. I don't know what they see. And you know, every week that Nathan Peterman starts, I come in and I give like some ridiculous stat, what he did over the week, where he was the first player to do this in NFL history. I absolutely love it. I'm going Drew Brees. He's on his way to his 2nd Super Bowl ring. And I wouldn't be too mad actually seeing that. So, guys, we'll go ahead
Drake, before we move on,
yes.
With some breaking news.
What is the breaking news?
Le'Veon Bell has tweeted, "Farewell, Miami." Does this mean he got back in Pittsburgh, or does this mean he's going to another beach? Only time can tell.
Only time can tell.
Oh, wow. Dude, the way that he's gambled on himself and then basically just used his Twitter account to try to troll his own team and, like, kind of hint at what he's doing, I feel like he's trying to make the NFL the NBA.
Doesn't he, like, have to come back to become a free agent?
Yeah, he has to be active for like 6 games or something. All his report for 6 games. So I don't know. He has to beat it by next Monday.
The clock is ticking.
I think there's only 2 people that know what's going on, and that's Le'Veon Bell and the owner.
Jared already knows for sure.
We'll have to get Diesel on to see what that tweet actually meant.
He definitely knows.
So, guys, we'll transition to some NCAA football talk. Bama absolutely housed LSU in Baton Rouge, 29-0. I mean, guys, is it fair to say it's Bama 1,000 feet of space and then number 2?
Yep. ESPN, get your Bama Clemson 3 ads ready to go. That's gonna be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I really don't even think this is a question. They tore up, in my opinion, the second best team in the country. So Tua for president. TT.
Yeah, I think the only team that even has like a remote prayer would be Clemson. Just because Trevor Lawrence is developing so fast, like the front seven's pretty nasty, and since Trevor Lawrence took reins of the team and Kelly Bryant kind of moved on, they look really, really good. But Alabama beating LSU the way that they did is just unheard of. I mean, guys, the offensive production for those teams, 570 for Alabama, 196 for LSU. I mean, I think we're almost safe to put a bow on this college football season. I really do. Michigan, maybe their biggest statement win under Jim Harbaugh. Actually, I really think it is the biggest statement win under him, 42-7 against Penn State. Guys, is Michigan back?
Yeah, so I might have been wrong about old Patterson. I'm not saying that he sucks a whole bunch. I still don't think he's very freaking good, but he was not good for a long time. But this is another really good example of why teams and fans shouldn't overreact and lose one game and want to hire one of the top 10 coaches in all of football. After week 1, they lost. Jim Harbaugh calling for his head. And now you have Michigan at a top 4, top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, Michigan fans do not deserve Jim Harbaugh.
No. No one deserves Jim Harbaugh. No one deserves those khakis.
No.
I mean, I've been one of the biggest critics of Michigan this season. I didn't think they were very good, especially after that week 1 performance without Notre Dame's now starting quarterback. But they absolutely destroyed Penn State, 3 big wins in a row. I mean, it is the statement win, and they're back. I can't wait for November 24th, Ohio State versus Michigan.
That is going to be an awesome, awesome game. I hope Jim Harbaugh wins that one. But I think it's safe to say that they're back. I mean, guys, we look at this defense.
Oh, yeah.
This defense has been playing unreal. Like, Leighton, you hit it on Shea Patterson playing at a high level. Look at this defense. Last 3 games, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State. 3 teams that have been in the top 25 for the majority of the season. They gave up 27 total points over there. This defense may be the best in college football. I think it's a stretch to say it, though, with what we saw from Alabama on Saturday. But if Alabama's won, Michigan has to be up there with Clemson and Alabama. I am very, very happy to see Michigan actually playing at this high level. And I've been high on Michigan the last 2 years. I thought that they were going to win the Big Ten last year, make it into the college football playoff. It turns out that the players were just too young. And we're starting to see these guys develop into superstars that were sophomores and freshmen last year. And it's very, very fun football to watch. So, guys, second college football playoff ranking comes out tomorrow. Last Saturday, who was the biggest winner of the outcomes?
Actually, yeah, 14 went home real quick. Number 1, Clemson, locked in the number 2 spot in the country, scoring 77 points in the game. Georgia has a 17-point win against the top 10 team of Kentucky on the road. West Virginia, if they win out, they have a real chance of getting in. Could that mean they'll be in Texas and Oklahoma twice? Could they play Oklahoma twice, probably? And Notre Dame did not help themselves. Because they only won by 10 against Northwestern, and if they don't lose, it will not matter. But they gotta beat teams like this by more than 10 points.
I'm actually going to just talk on one of the teams you talked about, West Virginia, and really the Big 12 as a whole. I mean, because now if Oklahoma and West Virginia can stay undefeated the next 2 weeks, and November 23rd they have their big showdown, and then they repeat it with the Big 12 championship game, one of them winning it. I mean, one of these teams are probably going to sneak in now, and that is something I didn't think was going to happen 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest winners is the Big 12, like you said. I just hope that the Big 12 title game just doesn't kind of come back to bite them, because it is a necessity in this conference. And for so long they kind of left it out because they didn't think they need it, because you do play every single team. But now beating the same top 10 team twice in one season is going to be pretty hard for these teams. But yes. I think UCF was a huge winner this week, but I don't think they're going to see any result from this. I mean, we saw Pitt, a team that UCF beat 45-14. Pitt picked up their second top 25 win this week. They beat Virginia. And UCF took care of business playing Temple. And Temple also has a top 25 win this season. I would imagine that UCF's going to move up in the rankings, but especially with top 11 teams losing. But I just don't understand what this committee is looking at, putting them so low to start off with, making it a dogfight for them to come up, because now it's almost out of reach with what the precedent they set week 1. But UCF should be a big winner because that Pitt win gets more and more impressive.
The Pitt win is impressive, but you don't think that they left 40 points up to Temple is a concern for you at all with the committee? I mean, Temple, yes, they beat a top 25 team, but it was number 25 Cincinnati, and let's not joke ourselves thinking that they're great.
No, but like the win
Temple's
against
not
Pitt,
great.
I mean, Pitt just beat Virginia. Pitt's already beat Syracuse, who's like a top 15 at this point. I don't see how this committee continues to do it. I think tomorrow I'm even going to be more disappointed, and they're going to fall.
So if another big team struggled against Temple like UCF did, would you not think that would hurt them?
No, because a win's a win. Like, any time that one of the big-time programs win a game, even if it's just against a mediocre competitor, they just look at it and say, oh, a win's a win. A win's a win. And you look at this team in UCF, like, they have to go out and beat the doors off of everybody instead of just worrying about going 1-0 each week, which is a huge disappointment and a kick in the face to what the College Football Playoff Committee was supposed to be. I don't know. I just think that they should be a winner, but I won't be surprised if they even slip further. So, guys, we don't have the week that we had last week. We only have 3 top 25 matchups. Number 8, Ohio State versus number 24, Michigan State. Michigan State opens as a +4 underdog. Guys, who's going to win?
I'm going to go with Ohio State on the road, but I still think Michigan State's a very good football team.
Yeah, I'm actually just going to prelude. I'm going straight chalk. It's Ohio State.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's going to win this. I think that they're the better team. Michigan State's probably a little more seasoned. They have a lot of juniors and seniors on that team, but I think Ohio State's just too athletic for them. Number 18, Mississippi State. Can they make it a game against number 1, Alabama? Alabama is a 24-point favorite.
Honestly, whenever I saw this spread, I laughed a whole lot, and then I thought, there's no way they cover that. Then I thought, oh shit, they're probably going to cover that. I don't know if they'll cover it or not, but I don't think it'll be a close game at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest betting on the game, but especially with that spread. But I'm definitely going with Alabama.
Yeah, I think Mississippi State probably has the second most like NFL players on their roster, only to Alabama. But I've looked over the years with like Alabama, like their kryptonite has been a quarterback that can run. But Nick Fitzgerald really can't throw that well. So if Nick Fitzgerald was even a competent passer, I would, say that they would be able to cover this spread. But I think Alabama's going to come in and absolutely blow the doors off of them. Number 2, Clemson at number 17, Boston College. Boston College is a 17.5-point dog. Boston College, Brandon, actually beat Temple by 10 points. So they have 2 losses, and they are still ranked 17. Where are you guys going in this game?
It's going to hold me to pick closest one, but I'm still going with Clemson. Wasn't that much to think about.
It's not really a thought in my mind. It's going to be Clemson. I don't think Boston College holds that much weight. And by the way, what happened to Louisville?
Dude, they're bad. Have you watched their quarterback?
No.
Not quite like Lamar Jackson.
Dude, their quarterback is absolutely awful. I was watching a game. They were playing Florida State. They were up, and they were driving. They were on the 20-yard line of Florida State with, like, less than 2 minutes to go. The quarterback drops back, and guess what they did there? They passed the ball. And he comes off to the side, and Patino's screaming at him, said, that was the wrong play call. That was the wrong play call. And Florida State picked it off, ran it back to the house. So Florida State beat them on that play, which was like the worst play ever. Like, you could take 3 knees there and just basically run it down to like 10 seconds left on the clock. Instead, pick 6. Louisville is absolutely horrible. If you get a chance to watch their game, though, watch their quarterback. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, dude. But Clemson, this is going to be one of the easiest spreads this week to cover. Clemson is putting up a ton of points on everybody. Boston College is as big as a pretender as there can be for a top 17 team. They don't have Matty Ice there. Clemson in an absolute blowout. Any top 25 upsets this week, guys?
But with the last 2 weeks ago, we went again. We go with Texas. Texas Tech just lost to Oklahoma at home by 5. And Texas coming off 2 losses that have been pretty deflating to them. And now Texas go to Texas Tech. I think Texas could lose 3 games in a row.
Yeah, Texas, that was a terrible loss to have for him. But did you see Will Greer? He really showed he was the real deal.
Dude, Will Greer is the man.
Winning touchdown pass was legit. I mean, this might be a cop-out for my pick, but I think Boise over Fresno. I don't think Fresno's that great of a team. Boise was ranked preseason. Boise's offense has been rolling lately. So I'm going to go with Boise.
I actually like that pick, B-Reich. I'm going to actually go with Tennessee over Kentucky. I think Kentucky's been one of the most fortunate teams in the country. Last week they were ranked 9 in the college football playoff committee's eyes. That just proves to me that this team does not watch games. I've watched a lot of Kentucky football this year, and they never impress me. Like, they have games where they throw the ball 3 times. Like, that is not conducive to success. Like, you are winning games on a ton of luck. Like, I watched them play Mizzou. They were down by 11 with like 5 minutes to go. It took a punt return back to the house, and then it took an untimed down just to win that game. I think Tennessee is a bad football team this year, but they've been able to elevate their play against their opponents. We've seen them beat Auburn already this year. Kentucky coming off of a huge loss to Georgia, where they absolutely just got beat up on for 4 quarters of football. I think Tennessee's going to come in, and this will be another very, very good win for Tennessee. Any lock bets of the week? What's your guys' favorite bet for the college football week?
I actually have UK minus 3.5 at Tennessee. I think it's low spread as a result of UK losing Georgia bad last week. And Tennessee's lost every game and played a good team all season. Lost to Alabama, lost to West Virginia, lost to Florida, lost to Georgia. That would be a good team all season. I think it's going to start now. Auburn isn't even ranked.
Yeah, but they're still a good football team.
Okay, well.
Auburn is still a good football team. They did beat Washington.
So is Temple, apparently.
That's a good
point.
Well,
Auburn beat Washington, and then they also beat Texas A&M last week.
Okay, well, fine. They beat Auburn by 6. So they're 1-5 against good teams.
B-Rock, who do you have?
How about we just go Michigan's definitely winning their next game.
Michigan money line.
Against Rutgers. It's against Rutgers. I don't care what the line is. They're covering, whatever it is, unless it's 40.
No, actually, I looked at that spread earlier this week, and the first thing I said, I think it's only like 30 points. I looked at it, and I said, that's an easy bet. And Michigan will actually, that's a huge bet. I love that bet. That was only second to my favorite bet of the week, which is Clemson over Boston College. Boston College is a bad football team, only 17 points. This team could potentially score 70 again. So I am all aboard betting on Clemson this week. So guys, we play this game each week. It is darts. Basically, the way that this goes is we will each throw a dart at the dartboard. That number will represent something. And Leighton, what are we playing this week?
Celebrity Deathmatch, NBA Edition.
Ooh, this will be fun. All right, so guys, the way that this will go, we will both throw 2 darts. It'll land on a player, and each player will take on another player, and we will decide who would win in a Celebrity Deathmatch style rumble. And Leighton C., producer, your throw.
We have a 3, Andre Drummond. We have a 12, Anthony Davis.
Ooh, Andre Drummond versus Anthony Davis. Leighton, who wins in this fight?
Oh, man. Battle of the big men. Both the different skill sets, but Anthony Davis can still rebound. Andre Drummond, I feel like he's just that brute warrior, though. Like, if I'm going to war, like, there are 3 or 4 guys in the NBA that I would pick on my war team, my army.
Delly and Andre Drummond.
Yep, those 2 for sure are definitely on there. So, I'm going to go Andre Drummond.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Andre Drummond, too. Like, both these guys are just, like, gigantic human beings. But Andre Drummond, like, dwarfs people. Not just because of the fact that he's, like, super tall, but he's also, like, 12 C's thick. Like, he is huge. And, I think he's more of a junkyard dog than what Anthony Davis is. Anthony Davis is a little more finesse, not as much just like, I'm going to beat you to death for, 25 minutes and then dunk on you for the next 10. I'm going Andre Drummond in an absolute blowout.
See, I figured you guys would go Andre Drummond, and I probably would have before this NBA season. But have you seen how much Joel Embiid has just gotten underneath Andre Drummond's skin?
Oh, that's true.
He's not mentally tough, that's for sure.
Yes, Joel Embiid has just been absolutely destroying him on social network. Actually just says, I own a lot of real estate in Andre Drummond's head, and then posted a picture of him with a wheelbarrow in Africa building homes and says, I'm on the way to go build more.
I saw that post, and that was one of the best posts Joel Embiid's ever had, and he has a ton of good ones. So are you thinking that, like, Anthony Davis can pick up the win, like Conor McGregor style, like getting his head first?
Yeah, well, I need to know more about Anthony Davis's, smack game. I know he's got a little bit. I know he's a little bit on social network and stuff, but I don't know if he has the Joel Embiid factor, that X factor. If he does, I think it's an easy one. He gets Andre Drummond all flustered. He keeps his reach. Andre Drummond will destroy himself. So for that reason, I'm going Anthony Davis.
See, I'm still going to go with Andre Drummond just because I don't know if he has that factor. Now, if it was like Andre Drummond versus LeVar Ball, I think, Andre Drummond would absolutely get housed. But I still have to go with Drummond just because I don't know if Davis has that, ability to do so.
All right, so Andre Drummond won the first bout. Our second bout is
B-Reich, your throw.
number 7, DeAndre Jordan versus number 17, Andre Ayton.
Ooh.
Oh.
Is this just the battle of the bigs?
It's what we have so far.
And to Colin Cowherd, these are the same player, right?
Yes, Colin Cowherd is on record saying that these are basically the same player.
To me, this isn't even a battle. I mean, what one kid's 19, 20, the other one's DeAndre Jordan. He's kind of got that old man strength coming in, and he's huge. He's a brick house. This would basically be like older brother beating up on younger brother.
No, I agree. Even if, younger brother grows up to be just like this beast, the toughest guy in the world, there's always one guy who can beat up younger brother, and that's big brother. And that's the way I kind of look at these two. And I think, DeAndre Jordan is a freak of nature, but he's a man. And I think DeAndre Jordan cleans house, big brother, little brother style. I like that analogy, Brandon.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton, he hadn't a league long enough. He's not tough enough yet. He's still playing in high school. In high school 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not going to beat DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan been dunking on 7 footers since he was 12. Now DeAndre Ayton's here.
Yes,
Yeah.
So we're all in
That was
agreement?
pretty easy.
DeAndre Jordan.
Yep, pretty easy.
Unanimous decision. And our main event of the night is
Now, my throw.
number 10, Jimmy Butler.
I hope it's Tom Thibodeau.
Oh, we got a bullseye. Meta World Peace. This was the bonus.
I was really hoping that we were going to get Tom Thibodeau versus Jimmy Butler because that would have been like an all-time classic fight. But I'm going to have to go with Meta World Peace. I mean, there's probably like 3 guys in NBA history that could take on Meta World Peace. I mean, guys, as soon as we hear the name Meta World Peace, you have to associate Meta with the guy Ron Artest, who's basically most notable for jumping into the stands and beating up fans. And if a guy's willing to risk it all just to fight a fan in the stands, you have to love him. I think Meta World Peace, who his close relative is Ron Artest, I think that he is one of the top probably 3 or 4 toughest guys to ever play in the NBA.
Yeah, see, I'm going to go... Tough one for me. I'm going to go with Meta World Peace. Because Meta World Peace was ballsy enough to fight Ben Wallace. And Ben Wallace, to me, is one of the 5 scariest dudes I've ever seen playing a basketball game. The guy was 6'8", and led the league in rebounding. You think that guy's tough, Brandon? I see it with my eyes at me, I don't think he's tough enough.
No, I think he's tough enough. But
I think Ron Artest would have won that fight.
He was Ron Artest then.
Ben Wallace is Ron Artest.
No, he was a Meta World Peace then.
Oh.
He transformed, remember?
Okay, you're right. I'm taking Jimmy Butler. Meta Peace doesn't have it in him. Ron Artest does.
I think Meta World Peace still got in a fight. And, nothing tickled me more as a kid by seeing somebody with the last name of Peace on his jersey get into a fight.
I think it's a world
game.
Peace.
Meta World Peace.
That's even better. That's even better. That's an absolute dog. When we threw the dart on Jimmy Butler, I thought I was automatically taking Jimmy Butler. I mean, especially after this offseason, that guy's he could whoop a lot of ass. But I'm gonna go with Meta World Peace.
Yeah, I think that one was pretty easy in my opinion.
You guys are wrong, Jimmy Butler, but I'll be outvoted. So, about for tonight, Andre Drummond knocked out AD in our opening round, 2-1. Donnie Jordan knocked out Deandre Ayton in our second fight of the night, the name decision, and Meta World Peace won a precision bout against Jimmy Butler in our main event.
Those were actually pretty good fights. We had some pretty good luck with the darts. So guys, it is time for our interview. You guys will really enjoy this, especially if you are big fans of football. We have Joey Elliott, pro scout for the Colts, former quarterback for the Purdue Boilermakers, and former quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. He spent some time with Andy Reid. He spent some time with Doug Peterson, and he talks about it all. Hope you guys really enjoy it. Today we have a very special guest, a very interesting guy to say the least, former Purdue University quarterback and current scout for the Indianapolis Colts, Joey Elliott. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Joey. So I'm just going to start off real quick, and we're going to see how much you know about your Boilermakers. We're going to do a little trivia here, okay?
All right.
So I'm going to give you three options: Drew Brees, Kyle Orton, Joey Elliott. All right? The answer is only one. Which quarterback was the only quarterback at Purdue to beat both Michigan and Ohio State?
I think that's a trick question, actually. I think Brees and Elliott did that. I think Elliott was the only one to beat Ohio State at Purdue and win at Michigan, but I think Brees beat both of them also.
That's pretty good company to be mentioned in.
Exactly. No, they're a great group of guys. The cradle of quarterbacks, the quarterback fraternity that Purdue has, the rich tradition at the quarterback position is one of the reasons I went there. When I was getting recruited, Kyle Orton was the quarterback at the time, and it was basketball on grass. And I like that Coach Tiller put a lot of emphasis on the quarterback position and running the offense and being a coach on the field.
That's actually pretty cool. I know my first experience as a college football fan, I was pretty young. It was whenever Kyle Orton was still there. My first experience, and to this day, my favorite college football team is the Purdue Boilermakers. And it is because I went and watched Kyle Orton, and then Kyle Orton got drafted by the Bears. So in this weird scenario of like how things were supposed to align in my life, I figured that Purdue must be my team if my Chicago Bears go out and draft Kyle Orton, the guy that I watched whenever I was like 8 years old.
That is a unique story. I tell you, most people who start, watching Purdue and backing Purdue, there is a unique story and a family tie. But obviously after the big win on national television last week versus a top-ranked opponent in Ohio State, the fan support is coming back, and there was lots of butts and seats in Ross State Stadium. So I feel like our fan support's growing, but the Purdue faithful has always been there and always supportive of all our sports teams.
Oh, yeah. I think Jeff Brom, he's doing an awesome job there. I mean, you just watched the game last week. You can kind of tell how he's moving Purdue forward. What do you think about that win last week for Purdue, as an alum, and how you think Brom's going to go and how the program is heading moving forward?
Well, after last year, Jeff showed that he's an aggressive, gutsy play caller. Always trying to look for misdirection and find ways to create extra first downs, if that's fake field goals, fake punts. But that recharged basically the fan support and the fan base and the student section and the recruiting trail. With that last year, that momentum carried over into this year, and we were able to get recruits like Rondell Moore. And, we haven't been able to do that in the past, to be able to go into a high school and be competitive with other Big Ten schools. I feel like Coach Brom does that. He builds relationships with recruits, and he has an opinion and finds the guys that he likes that fit what he wants to do offensively and defensively, and then we go from there. I thought we were a little bit coming out the gate, starting with Northwestern. as a Big Ten opponent. First game is always tough. They're well coached, really good football team. Obviously, we were able to put some points on the board, but we really hadn't created our identity as a team yet this year. And we had a slow start to the season, which is very similar to my senior year. Actually, we were 1-5, but we are a better team than 1-5 that showed on paper.
Right. I mean, you look at Purdue now. You take 3 plays away, 1 play a game from the first 3 games, and you could be talking about a Purdue team that is undefeated. And
that is exactly right.
And they've actually played really, really good football. Is there any thought in your mind that, obviously Jeff Brom, I look at him as one of the kind of top tier coaches there in the Big Ten, just from game planning standpoint. Is there any fear in your mind, or any fear in the Purdue alums' mind that that guy could possibly move on at some point?
No, not at all. I think our athletic director has done a great job handling that situation head on, communicating with Jeff. Every interview I've watched and the things that I've heard from the other alum, that Purdue being in the spotlight, in the media, and the attention with having a top tier coach with a great offensive minded guy is what Purdue's always stand for. And it's good publicity, and that's kind of the way he looks at it. From an aggressive play calling standpoint, as a recruit, you see how he uses Rondell Moore, and people want to come to Purdue because you're playing in a Big Ten, a big conference, and we're hopefully going to light up the scoreboard just like we have in the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's music to my ears, honestly. So we'll go back to your playing days. What is the toughest Big Ten stadium to play in outside of Ross-Ade?
I would say I didn't play in it, but I witnessed a game from the sideline. In my 5 years at Purdue, I would say Penn State was by far the loudest student body section that would in the Big Ten by far.
Oh, wow. I could definitely see that. You almost feel the intensity of their home games, especially in like the whiteout this year against Ohio State, and you can almost feel it through the television, which is odd. I've never been there to experience it, but whenever you can actually get that feel from the TV, it's kind of a rarity in college sports.
You're exactly right. They get there early, show up, and they have their whiteout, and their students are dialed in. I mean, I remember when I was on the pregame, warming up with the other quarterbacks, the student section was, yelling at recruits, knew the recruits' names. I mean, they were there. I don't know, when you walk on the field in a suit before the game, I mean, the stadium's empty. But no, there was probably, 5,000 fans already lined up, waiting for people to come in the stadium, which is unreal. That
is pretty impressive, honestly. So after your time at Purdue, you spent some time with the Eagles and then in the CFL. Now, Doug Peterson, he was on that staff with the Eagles, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, what was that like, being in a room with Andy Reid and Doug Peterson, and you being a quarterback, being around two of the possibly best quarterback gurus in recent NFL history? What was that experience like for you as a player, and then eventually as you go to evaluate talent and as a scout?
Well, speaking of Andy Reid and Doug Peterson, both of them are great teachers. Great teachers of the game. They understand it from the quarterback's perspective. When I was there with Doug, it was a very unique situation because he had just kind of got into coaching after playing for a long period of time. He's a big family man, and Andy gave me an opportunity to work with him, and I was technically the guy he worked with as basically a quality control coach. But, I mean, obviously his knowledge of the game was much higher than a quality control coach, but Andy Reid is old school in the sense that, made him earn his stripes and said, I have a path for you if you put in the work. I know you know the system inside and out, but now you got to learn exactly how to be a coach from the ground up. And, Doug put in his time as a quality control coach. I actually worked with him the most, which was really cool to see, and how he was seeing it from behind with Kevin Cobb, Michael Vick, and Mike Kafka there also, who now Mike is their quarterback coach in Kansas City. So Andy is very loyal to the people that have worked under him and been with him. He's a very loyal individual. But they're both really good teachers at the end of the day. And they're both aggressive play callers. And right now that's been the new trend in the NFL. You know, if you're sitting back and you're kind of passive, aggressive, you don't have a chance. You'll go 8-8. You know, these guys that are aggressive and not afraid, they're the offenses that are rolling right now in the NFL.
Right. I'm actually really jealous that you got to, be around Andy Reid. I think that I think he's an underrated personality. Whenever he comes in, dressed up as Santa Claus and just like, I feel like he is more of a player's coach than what the media actually gives him. Is that true about Andy Reid? Because a lot of times they just talk about the X's and O's and how he's so good at that, but it's kind of overlooked of how much of a player coach he actually is.
I would agree with that. Andy gets to know his players and who they are, and that's how he connects with you. It's not just about football only. He talks to you about other things outside of football. So he understands you're a human being and you're here to do a job, and so is he. But he also understands that he is the coach and you're the player. And during working hours, he's going to work and he's going to try to get you to reach your ceiling and be the best version of yourself as you can be. As a head coach in the NFL, Andy Reid is one of those guys, and there's very few that have it. But when he walks in a room, he automatically has presence. And he doesn't have to yell. He doesn't have to get too fired up because he just has presence. And through experience and through the test of time, and veterans listen to him. So, and he believes in his process and his preparation, which is important to have a successful program.
Right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your career after you had decided to hang up the cleats, after you had finished with the CFL and everything. How did you get into scouting?
Well, the CFL actually kind of sprung that a little bit. When I was in Ottawa, I had talked to the GM and the assistant GM. They signed me for a 1-year contract. And they were kind of going through some coaching changes after their first year as a franchise team. And they asked me if I thought about getting into coaching, wanted to possibly interview for the quarterback job, or I wanted to get into scouting. And we kind of went back and forth, talked a little bit. They hired a quarterback coach who was an offensive coordinator, so that eliminated one job opportunity. And I offered to help them when they came to Indianapolis to run like a free agent tryout camp. And they kind of gave me the offensive side of the field to run it, worked with the entire staff. And then I had Jeremy Snyder and Brock Sutherland, 2 guys who were both former NFL scouts that I worked under in the CFL. So those 2 guys kind of got me up to speed and told me what I had to do and how to do it. And then I was with them for a year, interviewed for the Colts job, didn't get it. And then basically a year later, I was able to interview again and get my foot in the door.
Right. So as a scout, what are the differences in watching the game film? You had grown up watching game film as a player, trying to look for certain things. How is that different now as you watch film and evaluate it from a scouting standpoint?
When you're watching the tape, you're evaluating your roster, but you're also, like, if I'm watching any game, like 2 college games or 2 pro games, I'm evaluate the talent that's on the field compared to the guys that are on our roster. That's the most important at the end of the day. So if this guy gets cut tomorrow, is he better than our 3rd receiver? Yes or no? So you're always trying to upgrade at certain positions on the field whenever you can. And then also you got to see trends, what type of offenses are running, what type of athletes are playing. So that's really important from a scouting perspective, is to understand what type of athletes play at this level, and then what type of players play on offense and defense, and then what fits your type of philosophy as a general manager. I mean, Chris Ballard in Indy, his big philosophy is getting the best athletes available, and have speed on defense and run to the football. So we have a high standard as an athlete that we're looking for.
Right. Are you correct me if I'm wrong on this? You're actually responsible for scouting other professional players, then?
Correct. There's two types of scouting. Once you get in the NFL, there's college scouting and pro scouting. College scouts, basically, you have an area that you're in charge. You're in charge of. So we have a Midwest scout, Southwest scout, a Northeast scout that cover those territories, and they're in charge of so many schools and so many prospects every year. So they go to the school, get to know the coaches, build relationships, see the kids get recruited, come in, and then know their development as a freshman all the way through until the draft, and then they write a report on them, and then they present them in draft meetings, and then once the draft's over, they kind of hit reset and do the same thing again. And then there's in pro scouting, you divide up the NFL teams, and we kind of do more day-to-day roster management and deal with more of the cut-down process and what our roster is going to look like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, where we're going to spend our money in free agency, what positions we're going to go after in the draft, and then our GM will kind of filter that down through the system for everybody to be focused on the same positions so we can, not miss on a pick.
Right. That's actually really impressive. I feel like that would be one of the harder jobs in the NFL, honestly, trying to see. You basically have to try to see the future on what guys are going to be cut, what guys are going to, walk in free agency. So that would be a very difficult job, I feel like.
All right. So your job, at the end of the day, you kind of want to compare what the future draft class is going to look like at a position and free agency. So you kind of got to look at both and kind of know where things are going to go. So if you don't think there's very many, let's just give an example. If you don't think there's very many running backs in the draft, then you better go get one in free agency. Vice versa, if there's not very many O-linemen you like in the draft, you're going to have to take one really, really high. You might want to go get one as a free agent. So you got to kind of look at it that way and work with our cap guy and figure out best place to put our players in a position to be successful.
So what was the number one thing that surprised you the most about being a scout in the NFL?
The number one thing that surprised me the most about being a scout in the NFL was I didn't realize how much on the back end was done. I mean, from a numbers standpoint, an analytics standpoint, from an evaluation standpoint, from a character standpoint, as a quarterback, I've always been, it's next man up philosophy. More of a coach's philosophy is next man up. You just step in and learn your X's and O's and go. So what goes into each decision, and as a GM, you're trying to build the locker room through picking the right guys through their character. And those are the guys that are pillar your organization, the guys that are your leadership, type roles, and you have to, draft them. When you talk about a room that doesn't have leadership or locker room presence, that falls on the personnel department.
Right. So do you actually get to interview and talk to any of the players that you have been scouting, especially like once they hit free agency, or do you just watch them from the X's and O's standpoint?
We watch them from the X's and O's standpoint, but we do have guys come in on visits, and then we're able to sit down with them. So we work guys out weekly, and we sit down with them, talk ball with them, and get to know them from that standpoint. Like in the free agency process, they can go on visits. We will have a chance to meet with them and get to know them. But we communicate with agents a lot. When guys are getting cut and those things for workouts, and that's kind of our job is to find out what's the best guy available. If we had two guys get hurt, last week, who's gonna get on our roster now? Are we gonna elevate someone from the practice squad? Are we gonna sign someone from someone else's practice squad? Or are we gonna sign a guy off the street as a street free agent? So those are the kind of decisions that we're making every day.
Wow, that seems like it's a lot to handle. It seems like you're doing a pretty good job at it, though. Joey, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us, guys. This was former Purdue Boilermaker Joey Elliott, current Colts scout. Joey, thanks for joining us in the kennel.
I appreciate it. Boiler up.
All right, again, we really want to give a huge thanks to Joey Elliott. That was a lot of really good insight and a very, very fun interview, especially being a guy who one of his guilty pleasures is Purdue football. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and go back to the NBA, kind of stick with the darts there. Guys, if the season ended today, there would be trouble in paradise. Lakers would be out of the playoffs. They're 4-6, have given up 110 points in every game this season, including giving up 71 in the first half to the Raptors last night. I know it's early, but should the Lakers be hitting the panic button?
No, not yet. I mean, they do average 120 points a game. The problem is that they give up 120 points a game as well. Last week, 100 hysteria, Fletcher talked about how one team chemistry gets better. They have good enough athletes, enough players who are athletic to be a good defensive team. And things matter of time until they're allowing, 100 points a game, 100 points a game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I wouldn't be panicking if I was the Lakers. Like Leighton said and Fletcher said from Hump Day Hoops Hysteria, I mean, athletes up and down the board, and they're veterans. I mean, a lot of those guys can play basketball. They just need some better team defense. And, and also look at the team. They've started 8 different guys. Not many teams can have that much fluctuation. Once they figure it all out, I really think the Lakers ship will be, straightened out. And, Lonzo Ball's been great in his second year. This team will definitely improve, and I don't think any team should be panicking after a 4-6 start.
After 10 games, would you guys consider it panicking if you signed Tyson Chandler?
I actually think that's something that's going to benefit them. They've been struggling with secondary centers, and they've just basically been having to ride JaVale McGee the whole time. At least Tyson Chandler can give you 8-10 minutes.
Yeah, another thing Fletcher did say was they need to find another center who could be an actual true 5. So
Tyson Chandler fits that mold.
That's all you can do if you bat and block.
Yeah, I think, you should never really be hitting the panic button if you have LeBron James on your team. I think the Tyson Chandler thing does add, that level of toughness that you need in order to not give up a ton of points. But I'm a little worried about the Lakers. I know that they weren't supposed to, be firing on all cylinders. We've seen it before where, LeBron comes into a new group, takes a little bit of time to gel. I don't think that they should be hitting the panic button. I think that this is going to be a team that honestly just blossoms late, especially with all the new pieces that they add in the offseason. So, guys, a little side note here. D. Rose dropping 50. What were your thoughts whenever you saw that?
I was happy for him. No problem. They didn't care what happened 4 years ago like some people did.
I mean, I really thought he was going to be out of the league last year. So, really, sports are amazing. And Derrick Rose can still ball, even though he's not the freak athlete that we, used to know and love.
Yeah, I know. That was awesome. I think that's one of those times that you just sit back and you're like, man, I really love sports. That was one of the best things ever. And to see a guy who's been so successful, been at the top of the pinnacle, an MVP of an NBA regular season, on the court crying, that, it just kind of brought things full circle with what we've dealt with D. Rose over the past, 5-6 years. So, guys, Giannis. I don't know if you guys have seen his stat lines lately, but he is absolutely lighting the NBA up. He's 26, 13, and 5. That is his stat line on average to date. He's now the betting favorite for the MVP. Bucks are off to an 8-1 start. Are you guys jumping on the bandwagon that is the Giannis MVP?
Oh, yeah. He's actually my preseason MVP pick because he's the shiniest of the new toys that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But last season, at this point, we're in the same spot last year. He was tearing up at the beginning of the season, and then he kind of tapered off. But this season, as of right now, definitely my MVP. Hope he can carry it on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like Leighton said, the last couple seasons, for stretches, he's looked like the MVP. He's an absolute freak of nature. I know he's not considered the unicorn, but he absolutely is one. He can just do things that no other player can, and his offensive skill sets just maximizes people like Chris Middleton and people from the outside. They get so much more space to show off their offensive skills. If he had Joel Embiid's trash-talking ability, he might be my favorite player in the NBA. But
yeah, dude, he's so fun to watch.
He's so fun.
He's if you just say lengthy, the most lengthy guy in the NBA, that is Giannis. And for a guy like him to be put in a point guard role at some points of his career, and him actually have success, and then just completely transition his game over what we saw at the very beginning. Whenever we first got drafted, this guy, you looked at him and you're like, this is going to take a lot of work. And many times before, we've seen that fail. And
yes.
He has just completely transformed his game. And you watch tape of him from the first time that we had ever saw him on an NBA court to now. It is maybe one of the best transitions we've ever seen in the NBA, period. I mean, he has become a freak of nature. Well, he was already a freak of nature, but he's just become a freak of a basketball player. He's almost a wizard with it. And, 26-13. That is almost unheard of in today's NBA if you're not just a guy who stands underneath the basket and just dunks the ball and gets rebounds. In today's game, 26-3 is unreal. That's like, it's almost comparable to whenever Wilt Chamberlain was dominant in the NBA. But Wilt Chamberlain, he was heads and shoulders above everybody else, and we're almost to that point where Giannis can put up these ridiculous stat lines because he's like nothing we've ever seen before. And I really enjoy that. Hopefully the Bucks continue to roll. And I would really hope Giannis is going to win. I think he will. Just like Fletcher always likes to talk about, the shiny new toy. And he is that.
What did you say his stat line was?
26, 13, and 5.
Okay. Because, I think the only person I could think even coming close to him is Joel Embiid, and he's 28, 12 and a half, and 3. So, it's good to see some new players up in the top.
But, you think about the roles on their team, the fact that he is able to get 13 rebounds, and he's not hanging around underneath the basket, that is crazy.
It is crazy.
So, guys, we'll go ahead and get to Be Reich, the Hot Take Detective. Guys, in case you're not familiar with this segment, I'm pretty sure the only reason Brandon watches sports is so he can try to prove me wrong on all the subjects that I like to talk about. So each week, whenever Brandon is on, I give him 3 topics. I give him 3 takes. And, these takes can be pretty hot most of the time. A lot of the times they are extremely hot. And we see if Brandon either agrees or disagrees with my takes. Take 1. Clemson will beat Bama in the national title game, and Trevor Lawrence will win the first of his 3 national titles.
This is truly absurd, by the way. This is a truly absurd take.
Have you seen that hair?
I have seen the hair. But number 1, only one quarterback in college football history has won 3 national championships, and that was Johnny Lujack back in the 1940s. Do we know about Johnny Lujack?
All about him. Piffing the basket, Danny.
That's Trevor Lawrence's grandfather.
Yeah. He actually played for Notre Dame, and fun fact, he won one in 1943, went to World War II for 2 years, came back, and won back-to-back national championships.
That is awesome.
American hero.
That's the best stat of the day.
Yes. Number 2, no team has won 3 national championships in a row since Minnesota in the 1930s. And number 3, nobody's beating Alabama this year. Clemson's a good team, and Trevor Lawrence is a great talent. And hell, they're kind of like the Alabama of the ACC, but 2 and the boys are just a better football team. And the fact that you think Trevor Lawrence is going to win 3 national championships is kind of a little bit baffling.
I love Trevor Lawrence, dude.
I can tell.
he's the man. So I'm wrong in my take?
Yeah. Well, why do you think why do you think he's going to win 3?
Dude, he's so good.
Do you not think 2 is good?
No, 2 is pretty. 2 is really good. But every year we see this. It's almost like we see it every year. Alabama. We talk about how they're not going to lose a game. Oh, this is the best college football team I've ever seen. This is the best college football team I've ever seen. And then they lose a game that they should not lose, and they should not lose to Clemson. But Dabo Swinney, I feel like they're just going to take turns winning back and forth until he gets Trevor Lawrence on campus, and Trevor Lawrence is the missing piece. Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback they've had at Clemson. In as far as I can remember. I will go ahead and say that. I think he's better than Deshaun Watson. I think he's...
Better than Taj Boyd?
Oh, yeah, better than Taj Boyd.
Because I think Deshaun Watson's probably number 2, so I think you just said the second best.
I'm very, very big on Trevor Lawrence. Even whenever we did our college football preview show, I was like, hey, Trevor Lawrence will be your starting quarterback by the end of the season. It's not going to be Kelly Bryant. If they want to win a national title, Trevor Lawrence will be able to do it. And I think if he does it as a true freshman, I don't think there's any way that he won't continue to do it for the next 2 years. So right now I'm 0 for 1. All right, number 2. Todd Gurley could finish the season with 30 touchdowns and still not win the MVP.
I don't want you to be right on this one at all, but I think there's a very good chance you will be. I mean, we talked about it earlier in the show. He's on pace for basically 2,428 at this moment in time, so he could easily score obviously could have over 2,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns. But for some reason, I think they're going to either give it to like Patrick Mahomes or Drew Brees because it's a quarterback-driven league, and it just gets more and more like that every year. But if Todd Gurley puts up one of the top 3 seasons we've seen, it'll be an absolute tragedy if he doesn't get the MVP.
But you think I'm right?
I do think you're right.
All right, I'll take that. Usually if I go 1 for 2, I'm happy.
All right.
Okay, right now, the ceiling for the Lake Show is the 6th seed in the West.
I mean, this is really tough going 10 games in. I don't think this is the Lakers team we're going to even be like remotely seeing in a couple of months. Like we talked about, they have a lot of young talent, a couple of old players, a lot of new pieces in general, and that usually takes quite a few games to get, basically on the same page, and we see that with their team defense. Their offense is as good as advertised, so I'm not concerned there. They got Tyson Chandler, like who I said is going to be able to give about 8-10 minutes to JaVale McGee and really give them some good defense in the post. And gut check time, I definitely think this is going to be a top 5 team in the league. I mean, I don't know about many other teams who we just be expecting. I feel like we're just hating on them because they are 4-6. But like I said, they've had so many new pieces, and you have LeBron James. It's going to be a top 5 team.
So you think they will be a top 5 team?
Yes, that's why I said it.
Okay, we'll stay on that one because I'm actually going to write that one down because I think I'm going to be right on this one. I really do. There are a lot of good teams, and like teams like the Nuggets that have been like surprisingly really good, like 8-1. I think that they're going to separate themselves kind of early. Like this Lakers team at the end of the season, like you could have them in the power rankings at like 5, but I think that they're going to be kind of low as far as their record. Like they'll catch fire late, but I think that as far as the regular season goes, it's not going to be real pretty.
But a lot of teams can fool us in the first 10 games of the season. I mean, did we think the Rockets were going to be this bad? Oklahoma City was going to be this bad? I mean, last year the Magic through the first 14 games were top 10 in the league. So
that's true. So I went 1 for 2. I can take that. I can live with that. All right, guys. So saucy 6-pack of games for Week 10. We'll start off with Thursday night. We actually get a good game, and I could not be more happy about it. Panthers are actually traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Who do we like?
We have the Steelers. Pittsburgh traveling to a very good team on Thursday night. Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so you're trying to say that this is going to be a better game than Oakland and San Francisco?
I guess I could say that.
Close.
Okay, yeah. I mean, bold. But I'm going to go with the Steelers, too. I definitely think this game is going to just show who's for real and, who's going to be fake, coming down the stretch. But I'm going to go with the Steelers. I have a lot of faith in them.
Yeah, see, I never buy into what happens on Thursday night just because it is such a short rest and short turnaround for players. I think the Steelers are going to win this game, and I think it's going to be pretty big of a statement win. Like, they're going to win pretty convincingly just because, like, teams that have to travel on Thursday night are usually very, very unsuccessful in doing so, and I just don't think that they're going to be ready to take on the Steelers. Steelers are a very good team. Panthers are a good team. Thursday night football game. Home team's going to win. Saints at Bengals. Guys, who do we like?
Go to the Saints, especially since AJ Green's going to miss this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints. I think the Bengals are as fake as they come, and the Saints just beat the Rams.
Yeah, I think the Saints, as far as teams with winning records, may be the worst team in the league. Or did I say the Saints or did I say the Bengals?
Yeah, you said Saints, but we all knew you meant Bengals.
Yeah, no. I definitely meant the Bengals. The Bengals are absolutely bad. They're as big as a pretender as they can come. They have an absolute terrible defense. I expect Drew Brees to just continue on the dominant performance we saw last week. I think Saints are going to blow the doors out, and they will cover the spread no matter what it is. Seahawks at the Rams. Last time they played, a pretty good game. So can we expect a different outcome this time?
I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams are going to house them. They'll be pissed off.
Yeah, this is like, to me, that classic thing where a good team loses a tough win, has a chip on their shoulder, and they're just going to have an offensive onslaught on the old Seahawks.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I think the Rams, just like you said, we've seen it time and time again. A team loses, they're really, really good. They come back, they're mad, they have something to play for. I think the Rams will pick up this win. Lions at the Bears. Guys, who do we like?
Bear down, baby.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go with the bear down. I don't think the Lions are very good.
I liked. I'm gonna keep that sound clip of Leighton saying that, and that's gonna be my ringtone for whenever he calls me. I'm gonna go with the Bears. Matthew Stafford struggles against good teams. This happens to be a great defense. Power Football Focus ranks him as number one. And I think Matthew Stafford's going to be in for a long day, especially if he tries to run an ad-lib read option with Kenyon Johnson. Dolphins and Packers. A surprisingly good team and a surprisingly bad team.
I'm just going to go with the Dolphins. One of those other things all season have been this Dolphins front four. They're getting pressured. They're not letting running backs run on them. And a lot of can't really move, so I'm going with the Dolphins.
Oh, okay. I'm going to go with the Packers. I just do not like the Dolphins. I don't think they're a great team, but all right.
I don't think either one of these teams are really a good team. I just think that one team has Aaron Rodgers, the other one doesn't. So I rarely pick against Aaron Rodgers just because I've seen what he does every time I pick against him. I don't see him losing 3 games in a row. I'm going to go with the Packers. So Sunday Night Football, guys. Go figure. We get the Cowboys again. We get the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. We get them on Sunday Night Football, back-to-back weeks. We'll take the Cowboys every single week. Who's going to win, Cowboys or Eagles?
I'm going with the Eagles.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I think it's going to be a close game again, though, because that's how the Eagles do.
Yeah, Eagles definitely like to play the close game. I think the Eagles will actually win. Coming off a bye week, Doug Peterson will have them rolling. Not just a bye week, but he gets a prime time performance to show, that they are still the Super Bowl champions. I think they kind of put it on the Cowboys, especially because the Cowboys, their strengths kind of play right into the strengths of the Eagles. So I think that I really think that the Eagles are going to win this one. But like Brandon said, close game like they always do. So guys, it is time for our producer to be in the spotlight. Each week he goes out and he watches a movie, and he breaks it down for us and tells us whether or not you should go watch this movie. Leighton C., what'd you go watch this week? 1212 Pip's Entertainment Review. Sit on down for a movie to view.
This week I saw Bohemian Rhapsody. It's a movie that follows Queen up until through the years prior to their performance at Live Aid. Rami Malek played Freddie Mercury, and he's really phenomenal in the performance of Freddie Mercury. The movie is basically about him. I want to say he's in every single scene, and if I put every single scene, it's a really tough thing for him to do. The movie is really good and entertaining throughout the 145 minutes. But also hard to do, because it's hard to keep you entertained for 2 hours and 25 minutes straight.
And you're a short movie guy.
I'm a short movie guy. I saw this time, I'm like, oh man, that's going to be let's drag on a little bit, but it wasn't. You don't realize how many good songs Queen has until you actually go through the Queen Greatest Hit CD, and you're like, man, I know this song, and that one, that one, and this movie really played on that, and you hear all the good songs in the movie.
Can you buy a soundtrack to it?
You can. You can buy it on iTunes, you probably buy it at Target. I don't know why.
Your face right then was just hilarious.
I don't know why you're buying a soundtrack to a movie. I don't know why you buy any music nowadays, actually.
You can buy soundtracks to movies, so I didn't know if I go buy a soundtrack for the Queen movie.
You can, and also it's going to have like little movie audio clips in, help you get into the next song and everything.
Oh wow!
It's really an experience nowadays when you buy a movie soundtrack.
Is Bohemian Rhapsody the song in it?
I haven't looked at it, but I'm sure it's in there.
All right, I like that song.
So this movie, it's really cool that movie is really historically inaccurate, like really bad historically inaccurate. I don't know what parts of it are, but I feel like it's just more of an embellishment than an accuracy. And I feel like people are saying that because of Bryan Singer. Do you know who Bryan Singer is?
Nope.
Not aware.
Okay, so this movie right now is 57% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
What?
I find it impossible to believe that 4 out of 10 people walk out of the theater saying that this movie gets a 4.5 or lower.
I've talked to everybody I've heard talk about this movie. They absolutely loved it.
It's because Bryan Singer is, in my opinion, probably a pedophile. Who's one of the people that came out for being a sex offender, touching little boys, all that stuff. He was one of those people.
Was he really?
But the movie already got finished and got pushed for release.
Wait a second. It's in your opinion, or is this proven?
It's in my opinion. I believe it. Like, is that
So
proven?
it hasn't been proven in the court of law, but it's like one of those things a lot of people think.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, I believe it.
Okay.
It's kind of the whole Kevin Spacey deal. Do you believe that? Yeah. So people in Hollywood don't like Bryan Singer for that, especially women in Hollywood don't like Bryan Singer for that. So I think they'll vote the movie down. But this movie, it's insane that it's that low on tomatoes. I get 2.5 dips, a solid 2.5 dips.
Wow, that's pretty high.
I knew this was going to be a good one on Twitter the other day when I saw your tweet and you're like Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think you just gave what, thumbs ups?
Very,
Thumb
very
up
good.
emojis?
I get two
Very,
very
very
goods.
Dude, you're on a hot streak of movies recently. I mean, it seems like everything you've been watching recently, like, has been like 2.5 dips.
It's about 10 years for movies, man. I know. I mean, I see one a week. I see some stinkers, but I don't talk about the stinkers.
So my girlfriend really wants to go see that, so this is definitely one to go see.
Yeah, definitely go see it.
Should I go see it in IMAX or regular screen is okay?
They have it in IMAX.
They do have it on IMAX here.
Okay, always go see a movie in IMAX because it's an IMAX
Always
for
IMAX.
it's an IMAX for a reason.
You know, honestly, though, and if you're looking for, like, most bang for your buck, this would be the movie to go watch because it's an hour and 20 minutes.
2 hours.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
That's what- yeah.
So you are getting the most bang for your buck. You're getting two
right.
movies, basically.
You're gonna pay the $10 upcharge for IMAX. It's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be awesome.
All right. Well, that sounds good.
You're gonna sit there thinking, "Wow, I know all these Queen songs."
No, I'm going to sit there and be like, this looks really historically inaccurate.
You're
That's
gonna
what
say,
I'm going to be saying.
You're gonna
the guy who made this definitely a pedophile. I hate this movie for it.
You're gonna
hate
sit
this.
there and watch. You're gonna watch this movie, and you're just gonna think, "Man, I really want that soundtrack."
You're gonna watch Walmart and buy the soundtrack.
All right, guys. So, any bold predictions this week?
Clemson loses Boston College.
SIUC basketball keeps it within 15 of Kentucky.
Ooh, I don't see that happening whatsoever.
That's gonna be tough.
I could go with the easy one and say that I'm going to see more like highlights of, like ESPN trying to make it seem like Mike Krzyzewski's like this really fun-loving guy, like wanting his players to have fun on the court. But that one's too obvious. My bold prediction this week, I'm going to say that Tennessee is going to beat Kentucky. I think that Kentucky has been a very, very fortunate team. I think that their luck has finally run out. We saw their true colors last week, and I think that Tennessee is actually going to pull the upset off, and I think I'm going to be right on that one. So, guys, anything else before we wrap this show up?
I don't know if you're listening. You can follow us on Twitter and iTunes at The Saucy Pod. Listen to Hoops Hysteria this Wednesday with me and Fletcher. We'll be all the hard-hitting NBA news.
All right, and on that note, Dippers, for Drake, for B-Rock, and Leighton C, Dippers, as always, stay saucy.